How's it going? This is Osiris, and today I'm going to bring you a preview of Linux Mint 16 Petra. Quite possibly, to me, one of the best releases in Linux that I know of. So, let's jump right to it. There has been a lot of changes in this particular release. Trying to find them on their website. Let's see, downloads, and let's try that, and that, and that just takes you there. Maybe it's here. Alright, so in this version we got Cinnamon 2.0, login screen, a new login screen, USB stick support, which I've seen during the install. Or let's see, what USB, yeah. So instead of UNet booting or something like that, I guess Linux Mint has their own software to write ISOs and stuff to. I don't know why that's a big deal, but anyways, there's definitely been some performance improvements. The software manager has been updated, system improvements, artwork improvements, which I assume is the icons and the wallpaper or whatever, and some of the main components. It has EFI support for people with new motherboards and BIOSes, and doesn't look like there's no more information. So, let me get into what I like and what I do not like about this release. So, Linux Mint has managed to do something that no other distribution since I've gotten my NVIDIA GTX 660 has managed to do, and that's install the NVIDIA driver without hassles, like without having to go to command line, without having to repair your system or losing your desktop and all kinds of complete garbage stuff that nobody should even have to go through to install simple drivers to a component that's as fundamental as a graphics card. Like, okay, I can understand the Wi-Fi situation or some obscure USB hardware that many people just don't have, but for some reason I can't get. Only other distribution that was able to do this was Manjaro. So I definitely give extra thumbs up to the Mint team for making this so easy. Let me give you a look at how easy it was. So you go to device drivers under system settings, type in your password, and then here you go. This is how it was supposed to look under Kubuntu Mint 15, but I would never get anything in here, so I would always end up having to do it from the command line. So I'm happy to finally see it's easy to install my driver, because it's just not something I like fooling with. This distribution is very fast. I mean, when I go to open things actually just open. It's very responsive. You don't get that weird click on something, half a second wait time, and then it opens. Everything just kind of opens. Let's try a program like GIMP, which it usually takes a minute to open. And as you can see, pretty responsive, and this is running off a 5400 RPM drive, a laptop hard drive. My SSD is being occupied at the moment by Windows 8, so this is running off a very slow drive, and it's still very responsive. So thumbs up for that. It's a very polished release. This looks like a professional operating system. It's not doesn't look like a hacked and thrown together one. It looks very nice, professional, and something that I think a lot of people would want to use upon looking at it. It just looks nice. Everything kind of flows together. The effects are very nice. The way the the pop-ups appear and disappear. Here you got the sound, and it kind of just gets out of your way, nice and gradual. I like it. It's very nice. The way the spread and the desktop works is very nice. This is definitely a very polished release, and keep in mind, this is still a release candidate, so this is not even the final version. It can only get better from here. They added system sounds, so when you a lot like Windows, when you get when you log into your system, you'll get some type of sound. You get a sound whenever you do this. For some reason, I think I screwed that up, so there's no sounds right now. But they added system sounds, which is good, especially if you're the type of person who multitasks and you're doing something away from your computer and you like to have the audibles feedback instead of just visual feedback. So I like that. You can disable it, of course. Software manager. Let's go to the software manager. I'm gonna compare this to the Ubuntu software manager, since they use the same repositories and they're very much alike. The number one complaint about the Software Center, or there's two complaints I have about Software Center in Ubuntu. One is it's very slow. You open it, even on a fast computer. I have a quad-core Intel i5 3570K with 8 gigs of RAM, and it is super unresponsive and slow. And it seems like it takes packages longer to install through there than it does through the command line. Noticeably longer. So as far as speed goes, this is much more responsive. You click on things and it actually opens them. It's laid out very nicely. And you have, let's try to open this a little bit. There you go. You have the score and all that stuff, and it's got nice subcategories. Which brings me to my second gripe about Ubuntu Software Center. Content discovery is kind of terrible in there, if you ask me. There's a lot of irrelevant stuff. If you type in a search, you'll get magazine results and all kinds of other stuff that you really wasn't looking for. So if you type in a search in here, Firefox, look at that. It just brings up Firefox. Now I wish they would get rid of these extra packages. They're not the main package. Especially for a new user, this could be kind of confusing, having all these separate packages. Maybe localize it per your language. So if I'm an English speaker, I don't need the French speaking packages. Something like that. But it's not too bad. The one you need is right here at the top, and you can tell by the score in the reviews that this is probably the one you're looking for, which is also a good part of the content discovery. And back to content discovery, so let's say if you're looking for Firefox without typing it in, you can just go to internet and web, and there it is. This is just much easier than Firefox. Than the Software Center in Ubuntu. This makes way more sense. It just works better. It makes more sense. It's way more logical. So for my first dislike, I've only been using this for about 2 days, so I don't have too many dislikes so far, and really too many likes, because I haven't seen everything and used it long enough to really to get a feel for it. But I still have a kernel problem. And whenever I boot, I have to boot into recovery mode and then boot into regular mode to get it to work, because I get a panic problem saying that it can't I don't remember let's see. I wrote it down somewhere. The exact there. Kernel panic, not syncing, VFS, unable to mount root file system on unknown blocks. Looked it up, and it's not. To me, at first, it sounded like initially maybe my hard drive was bad, but apparently it's a kernel problem. Maybe it's not compatible with something. I don't know. But this is the kernel that is shipped with Linux 16. I mean Mint 16 right now. What is it? It's 3.11.0-12 generic. So I don't really know. I either have to upgrade my kernel or downgrade my kernel. I really don't know. It's not really a showstopper for me as long as it boots eventually, because I don't reboot too often. So I'm just gonna let it be, and maybe when it's officially released, I'll get a new kernel version or something like that to happen. So really, not too much for me to say. There's not too much changes, except for they did a lot of core changes to the system, which makes the overall experience just much better. Cinnamon is an A+ top-notch desktop environment, especially if you don't want a tablet, sell a mobile type of desktop, or some hybrid new I don't even know what they're calling these new desktops now, Metro-ish type of desktop. If you don't want all that, you just want a standard desktop, Cinnamon really delivers in this release of 2.0, and it's definitely worth taking a look at. And this Linux Mint 16 works great for the new user and the power user, because it just works out the box for the new user, but for the power user, it has tons of options. It doesn't give you too many options like I think KDE does, but it doesn't give you too little options like GNOME does. So I think Linux Mint and Cinnamon definitely hit a sweet spot, and this is worth checking out. That's it for my preview of Linux Mint 16, and I thank you for watching.